Hello, Namaskar, and welcome to the CAA Show. CAA, as all of you know, is Conversations and Analysis, and my name is Juggi Bhasin. So, the big question which I'm asking in today's podcast is Swati Maliwal prepared to break the Aam Aadmi Party and create a new Aam Aadmi Party? If you have doubts or if you are surprised by this assertion, then you just have to watch all the recent interviews which Swati has given to various news channels, and it is absolutely clear that she is waging a war against the Aam Aadmi Party. But this is a war which she's not waging so much so from the outside, but this is a war which she has started and plans to continue and wage from within the Aam Aadmi Party. She has no plans to leave the Aam Aadmi Party, and she wants to continue her battle and dislodge her tormentors, as it were, from the Aam Aadmi Party and perhaps create a new version of Aam Aadmi Party or AAP 2.0. So that is what we are going to discuss today, and therefore it begs the question that is Swati Maliwal really a Trojan horse? And there can be two kinds of Trojan horses. One is a Trojan horse, one who is self-motivated to spread destruction from within. Why would she be self-motivated? The old saying, which I think all of us have heard, hell hath no fury of woman wrong. She is a woman wrong. She is furious. She is angry, and her anger is genuine. If you see those interviews, this is not some made-up anger. Her anger against her tormentor and tormentors, rather, I would say, is genuine, it is palpable, it is real, and she is furious. So maybe it's a self-motivated Trojan horse who plans to bring down the AAP superstructure as it is from within, or there is also a possibility that Swati Maliwal could be a Trojan horse which has been inserted from outside, probably by the BJP. We don't know. I have no way of knowing that, but that also is a possibility. Whatever be the case, the fact is, these are very interesting times, and there's no question that this is not an ordinary person. This is not some ordinary karyakarta, as it is said, but a very important, significant person who is capable of actually completely splitting up from within. She has the capability and the capacity to do that, and that is what I will discuss in this podcast. But first, let's try and understand her motivation, why she has declared this war against AAP. It's very clear from the interviews that Swati feels that she is entitled to continue with AAP, and she wants a kind of she's reclaiming her rights in AAP, because in her own words, she's saying that she's among the first 3 or 4 people who created this party. She was part of the Parivartan NGO, which Arvind Kejriwal had started so many years back, I think in 2006, and she was part of that. And she, in her own words again, she handled the entire backroom office of AAP when it was created. She was overseeing everything. She was actually both the brains as well as the energy or the force behind the backroom operations of AAP, and therefore she knows a thing or two certainly in how AAP was created and how it came into being, and then its forward movement. So she feels entitled, and rightly so. In this case, I never personally agree to this entitlement idea, but here she is genuinely entitled to say that I created AAP, I was among the first 3 or 4 people, and why should I therefore leave it? I will claim my rights in AAP. I put in my sweat, toil and tears into AAP, and therefore she will continue with AAP, and therefore it begs the question that is she on the path to create a AAP 2.0? The second thing is that she has worked at ground zero. This is a person who is not somebody who sits in air-conditioned offices or who pontificates or who talks theory or makes wild speeches like some prominent opposition leaders. She knows a thing or two, definitely, because she has worked at ground zero. In her own words, she worked and she lived in Juggies for almost 6 to 7 years to understand and grasp what things happen at ground zero. So this is the person who knows what she's talking about. And then the other point, of course, being that she has done some path-breaking work as chairperson of the DCW, that is the Delhi Commission for Women. A lot of those cases, they were exemplary, the work she has done. She has brought a lot of comfort and succor to a lot of women in distress, women who have been traumatized, who have been aggrieved. That is a huge role which she has played. And also, from 2011, she was, of course, involved in the anti-corruption movement of Kejriwal. So, if you take all these points, there is a body of work which Swati Maliwal has put in, and therefore she feels, in this case, as I'm arguing, she feels genuinely entitled that why should I leap up? I will stay and up. I will continue the struggle from within, and I will bring my tormentors to justice. This is a call to arms, but this is again a very calibrated, it's a very well thought out call to arms, because she knows what she's talking about, because she's a person who is literally the insider, the inside woman who knows what all the workings of AAP from within. She has put in, as I said, a lot of hard work, and therefore she says that why should I leave it? I will stay in AAP and refashion it according to what I think AAP should be all about. And therefore the question we have to ask ourselves is that why is Swati Maliwal doing all this? Is it because she was traumatized so badly, so recently in this beating, that she wants to take revenge? Is it only revenge, or is it something else? To my mind, it's not such a simple answer, because sometimes people do what they do because of a combination of not one particular reason, but a combination of various reasons. And my own guess estimate, as I call it, is that it's 2 or 3 factors which are provoking and prodding Swati to take this course. It is, of course, there is a revenge element. There is a part to it where she wants to, as I said, bring her tormentors to justice. She has very clearly said that she will give the final version or the real version of what has happened only to the police. She's not even confining that or talking about that in front of the cameras. So the investigation could actually throw up some really big surprises, shocking surprises. That's a possibility. But there's also, I would call, a sense of what I would call a sense of righteous justice, an element of righteous justice which she has within her, because after all, she has genuinely worked for women. Even her opponents won't deny that. Very significantly, when she was nominated again to the DCWD, besides Arvind Kejriwal again nominated her, even the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, and the Lieutenant Governor and Kejriwal have been at loggerheads, as we all know, but he also reappointed her. It's a signal that she has put in exemplary work, and there's no questioning that. And therefore, it's a combination of the work she has put in, the sense of justice that my work speaks for itself, a sense of probably revenge, a sense of being let down, a sense of being betrayed. I think the element of betrayal is very strong in her, that how could I be betrayed? I was among the founders of this movement, and therefore she feels very strongly about that. So these are a combination of 3 or 4 factors which are propelling her to take this course of action. The other thing is, which is very clear to all of us now, if you look at this entire chain of events very carefully, that Swati Maliwal, whether you might agree or you might disagree with her, you might like her as a person or not, you might like her persona or not, again, as I'm saying, but the fact is, this is a woman who definitely belongs in the public space. Now, what do I mean by that? By that, I mean that she, if you watch her closely, if you listen to what she's saying carefully, then you understand, then you come to realize that she actually is a very good communicator, both in Hindi and in English, which is, of course, a rare quality. I mean, somebody like Kejriwal, of course, knows how to, put out his sugar, saccharine, or whatever else he does, words and all that, but he's basically a communicator in Hindi. But Swati Maliwal is fluent in both the languages, which is a great asset, if you ask me. She also has a great persona. she has a personality where you are compelled to look at her, watch her, and you feel for her. And above all, she has this one great element, which it's a term which I am giving to her. She has an element which today, if you really ask me, the only other person who has this in abundance actually is a prime minister, that is Prime Minister Modi. But she also has some bit of it. It is what I call the crusader halo. Swati Maliwal has what I call a crusader halo around you. When you listen to her talk, when the way her body language is expressing itself, the way she's communicating herself, it's very clear this is a person who's driven by this crusader, who has this crusader halo around her. Kejriwal, at some point in time when he started, especially in the early days, I'm talking of way back in 2011 and in 12, he probably had a bit of that crusader halo, but he obviously lost it very quickly, whereas within a matter of months when you all realized what the man really was. But Swati Maliwal has this in abundance, which is a great asset. And finally, if you ask me that why all this has happened, why this path has been taken by Swati, then there is a very simple answer to this. Besides all the other reasons which I have given to you, there is a old logic which has stood the test of history, I would say, and that particular logic is that a revolution devours its own children. The Aam Aadmi Party, in a certain sense, was nothing less than a kind of a revolution, but over the years now, as we can all see, that it is devouring its own children. It is now not only devouring, but it is spitting out, discarding, throwing out its stalwarts, the people who created, who made up what it is today, replacing it with the flotsam, the what I call the part which is not something which you aspire to. Those kind of elements are now coming into the party. So the revolution has definitely devoured its own children, which is, and again, something we have to closely observe what's happening to this party. So assuming all these points, now it begs the question that if Swati Maliwal is indeed set on this course, and again, this is, as I said, I have to give a caveat out here that this is my guess estimate. I don't have any confirmation from Swati Maliwal that she is going to take this course, but I have a feeling she definitely will. Then how will she achieve this? How will she create, how will she destroy AAP from within, and from its ruins, how will an AAP 2.0 rise, or like a phoenix rising from the ashes, as it is said? The first thing, if you notice very carefully, what she is doing is that she is now creating a new persona for herself. And what is this new persona? The new persona is that she is still an AAP person, but she's telling the public at large, especially the public at large, that I am the unblemished one in the Aam Aadmi Party. I stand apart from the rest. I stand on a moral pedestal. This is what she is doing. And all the others, so-called stalwarts and all the other, especially people like Atishi, for instance, they are all blemished. And she's making no bones about the fact. She's talking about it, at how Atishi has let down women's issues and women's cause. All, and certainly Kejriwal and Sanjay Singhs of the world and all the others, Saurabh Bhardwaj, all these people are blemished. She is the unblemished. And if you recall, there actually was a case, there's a stay order against that case, some financial irregularity case in certain terms of appointments by the Delhi High Court, and she says that is of no consequence, because something interesting which I foresee is that after what has happened to her, after her public utterances and all her interviews, I find it very hard to imagine that anyone is going to pursue that kind of case against her. She actually has, in a way, emerged lily white, almost in a puritanical form, as compared to the rest of the Aam Aadmi Party, and therefore she is now becoming a center of attraction where the others will be attracted to her. They will go towards her to help in the creating of AAP 2.0. So she stands unblemished, as I said, from the rest of the stalwarts in the party. And therefore, she, in that capacity, Swati Maliwal, therefore, has, there is a possibility that two events could happen. Number one, that the old diehard loyalists of Arvind Kejriwal will start facing or are already facing the music from law enforcement authorities, which means that a lot of them could end up probably in jail, or they would be ostracized, or they would become absolutely, their role would be meaningless in the public eye, which means that they would be, left by the wayside. Nobody would even bother with such people after some time. She knows that, she understands that. And at the same time, the second event would be that she starts attracting a new band of followers, a new band of what I call brothers and sisters, a new band of people would start coming into AAP 2.0 to build the party of what it was like when AAP originally started so many years back. Because again, the sense which I'm getting from her interviews is that she wants to take AAP back to its Halicon days, to its pristine time when AAP stood maybe really for something so many years back. She wants to, that AAP 2.0 would be a kind of a social activism platform once again, which it had lost and it had converted, or it had transformed, or rather mutated, I would say, into a politically power-hungry party with all its leaders. She probably wants to take back to those days, and that's my feeling. That's how she will do this. And therefore, if that process were to happen, what would be the role of the BJP in that process? We need to talk a little bit about that. The Congress, of course, is completely also, they would be, after these elections, after the results are announced after 4th of June, there would be a lot of soul searching, a lot of trauma within the Congress, so they won't have any time for AAP or whatever else, the kind of meeting ground they had with AAP. But what would be BJP's role vis-a-vis AAP 2.0, that is, if it comes into being? Again, my guess estimate, this is what I'm thinking, that actually the BJP might end up giving some kind of tacit support to AAP 2.0, because AAP 2.0 then would not be a power-hungry political party. My own feeling is that Swati would probably convert it or reconvert it back to a social activist platform, Delhi-centric, not nationwide-centric. Because this is what she does best, what she did in Delhi. She would probably do that, and that actually would suit the BJP, if you think about it. That would actually make a lot of sense to the BJP. For namesake, they would say that there is an opposition entity which we tolerate, we have no problems with, it's respectful, it's doing some good work, so it's fine, they can continue. There could be some kind of tacit understanding that, okay, you do whatever you do, and fine, we are not going to oppose you so bitterly as we oppose AAP when it completely changed its colors under Arvind Kejriwal. So really, that is a space we have to watch very carefully. We still don't know how the contours of this new platform or AAP 2.0 would emerge. But as I said, and I'm using the word again and again and again, my guess estimated, it would be an entity which would be a social activist platform. It would rediscover its face of what it had lost so many years back. Swati Maliwal is capable of re-energizing AAP into that face again, because one thing is very clear, whatever else happens, a lot of the so-called present stalwarts of the Aam Aadmi Party are not going to survive politically, that is. There's no question about that. They are all under the lens, they are all under the hammer, they are all under the lens of the law enforcement agencies. Many of them are going to get sucked in. They might end up, as I said, serving jail terms, and therefore there's going to be a churn what in Hindi we call a manthan, which is going to happen in Aam Aadmi Party. And therefore, the phoenix which might arouse out of the ashes, and that is what Swati is planning, would be the old version of the Aam Aadmi Party as a social activist platform. That probably is on the cards. But again, as I said, last word, we have to watch that space. And so, on this note, I come to the end of this episode, this podcast, of the CAA show. I hope you really enjoy it. It's so simple to watch more of our shows. Just press that red button on your screen. Subscription is, of course, completely free. And as I keep promising in podcast after podcast, that my podcast, we bring out totally different points of the hot button issues of the day. And so on this note, it's goodbye and cheers from my end.